Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic of Denton. The views and opinions expressed by the show hosts and their guests are those of the show host and guests, and not necessarily those of the sponsors, DentonRadio.com, or the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau. For more information, visit the Policies and Procedures page at DentonRadio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in live tonight on DentonRadio.com. We are broadcasting out of the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center, and I am chilling with the man right here, my homie. Y'all know him. His name is Zay La Vie, hanging out tonight. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, man.
Right on, man. Doing good, doing good. Thanks for coming on the show tonight, man. It's your first time on. I'm excited to have you perform the newest track that you sent me, man. And for those who don't know, why don't you go ahead and tell them what the name of the track is? Let them know.
I just dropped a song called I'm No Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right,
Zay La
man.
Vie.
There you go. And so if people want to, just right off the bat, people are like, oh, okay, cool. But they want to find it. Where do they go and look it up?
Honestly, anywhere. But Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud are, the top three for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hit up my Instagram, and you can find a hyperlink that'll take you to other platforms as well.
And of course, Zay La Vie is spelled Zaylavie. Now, let's kind of jump into the conversation now that we've done the promo stuff at the beginning. So, man, you and I have always kind of known each other through making music and the music scene as well, but we've never really kind of sat down and have a conversation about how you came to mixing and making music and all that kind of stuff. So let's kind of get into that, man. Now, I want to ask you a question is, if you had to kind of think of your first musical memory, the first time you remember music making an impact on yourself or people around you, what would you where's your mind go?
So for me, it's it definitely goes back to, and this is why I actually wanted my dad to pull up with me, because I knew I'd probably get asked this question. And so that's a special thing for me, because he's the one that got me into music in the first place. And so he's been DJing 25, 30 years. And so when I was little, I was already getting exposed to all these sounds and not really knowing what was going on with them, but I just knew that if he liked it, I liked it too. You know what I'm saying?
Was there? Yeah, that was how it was. Was there a specific was he a certain type of DJ, or did he kind of play all the genres, or kind of fit the crowd? That kind of thing.
Back then he was primarily hip hop, and so I was growing up listening to a lot of Notorious, and just a lot of West Coast rap. But I think when I first started really becoming vivid with music, when I first started to realize what I was hearing, was in elementary school, because I started coming across E40 and Be Legit and people like that from the Bay Area, because that's where we lived. And I'm from Vallejo, American Canyon.
Okay.
And so, and my dad had subs. He had 212s in the back of his car at all times.
Nice. Okay.
Sometimes they'd get stolen. He'd get a new set.
More, yeah.
Yeah. And so when I was feeling that bass, that's when I first my ears first started really responding. What is this? What am I feeling in me? And so, E40, bass heavy.
Yeah.
Bass heavy.
So was it more did you kind of connect with the beats more than the lyrics themselves? Yeah, just the way that beat.
Because there's even a moment where with my dad and my mom, we were in the car, and I'm like, hey, listen to me rap. And I start beatboxing, and they're like, what?
That's awesome, man. I remember when my mom found that I had bought Ludacris's Word of Mouth, which has some questionable songs on there. I mean, it's a great, it's an awesome album, but, there are some I think if I found my 13-year-old son bumping it, I might take it from him. But my mom was like, I don't like the lyrics. They're pretty explicit, so she took it from me. But I tried to explain to her that I didn't even hear the lyrics. It was all about, the beats.
Right.
The way that the beats felt in certain tracks just were so bumping and, powerful.
I try to explain that to people, too. Sometimes I'll play them a song, and it's, sonically perfect. And they're like, I don't like the lyrics. But I'm like, don't listen to the lyrics.
Yeah.
Pretend like there's nothing being said.
Yeah. So what is it you're kind of getting into hip hop, but what got you into I guess the science of sound in a way? Because that's really what you do. You don't just make beats, you mix, you master, you do all. So what got you into the science of sound?
That's what's crazy is this whole path has just been, every turn has been unexpected, because from the beginning I was always a very to myself kind of person. Didn't ever picture myself being on stage. Parents never tried to tell me oh, you should make music and stuff like that. So how I fell into that was, I had an interest in instruments in elementary school. Obviously, everybody starts with a recorder.
Yeah. Playing hot cross buns.
Yeah, and so naturally, I went from that to clarinet for a year and a half in middle school. But then 7th grade, I'm like, wait, I really like drums, and I just seen Nick Cannon do his thing on Drumline.
Oh, nice.
So let me try this out. And so, I slowly tried to get worse at clarinet, so my teacher would let me switch. And and eventually ended up in percussion.
Sabotaged himself so he could get to percussion. That's awesome.
Worked out.
Do what it takes.
Do what it takes. And so drumline was inspiring me. So I was like, I knew drumline had to be the next step in high school.
Okay.
And so that was a move. But then I found out I was moving to Texas, which, although that wasn't like what I wanted at the time, it actually turned out to be great because we moved to an area where drumline is like highly competitive, take it very seriously. And so
where was that?
Over in Frisco, Texas.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I just got thrown into the mix with all of that because I think the best school in the state at the time was Centennial, and that was like around the corner.
Nice.
And our teacher was from that school, so he came over and he was
high
doing
class.
this thing. Yeah.
Nice.
So they weren't easy to get along with either, but I mean, they definitely like pushed us to be better humans in general.
Yeah, just better people. Yeah, not just at drumming, but in life.
Yeah.
You know. And so you start with drumline, and you start to kind of incorporate hip hop. You're liking and listening to that music, and then as you got and now you're like, oh wait, I can do this now.
Yep. And so in high school too, obviously I'm having this obsession with different kinds of music at the same time. A lot of R&B, a lot of Drake, a lot of like Trey Songz, stuff like that. Just stuff that was like really like emotive, and just where the beats were just so like dark and like moody. I just love that. And so I get to college, and I decide, okay, well, I don't know if I can make what I need to really survive just off doing drumline, right? And so that made me kind of nervous. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I could do business. So I tried that, and something felt like it was missing for the whole first semester. And so that's when my friend he was exposing me to electronic music throughout this time, taking me to different shows, venues in Dallas. And believe it or not, electronic music was like the fire that set everything off for me, because I was like, if we take these sounds that people are creating, which first of all, there's things I've never even heard before that people are making, and we apply those to hip hop or whatever, it's like this is a whole new world. And so I got obsessed with like people like Zed's Dead and trying to figure out like how they make what they make.
Oh yeah.
And so got Ableton at the end of that first semester, and just got going.
Man, I was that's how I felt. I remember going and seeing Pretty Lights. I saw Pretty Lights at a music festival. I was literally seeing a string band, Yonder Mountain String Band, which was a great show, super fun, but it's bluegrass, These guys are talented, it's awesome, and I walked out of this tent, and I heard the sound, and I was like, okay, I got to find that music. And I found it, and it was Pretty Lights, and it was this blend of, like you're saying, these electronic sounds with funk and hip-hop and samples, and it was the music that I always wanted to hear.
Right.
Where I was like, what? Like
the music we never know we even needed.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, and so that, just like you were saying, like that electronic music is what got me into it. And I would still, I still consider my stuff, especially when I'm not sampled, like if I don't sample like old school funk and I just make it for myself, it definitely can have like sometimes a jazz, but an electronic feel to it. I try to smash the jazz that I like, and then the ED or the electronic music, not EDM per se. Like for instance, like I always loved a guy, Kill Paris. I loved his music. I
remember Kill Paris.
I didn't want to sound like Kill Paris, but I wanted to know how he did some of the things that he did. So taking like
of course, because that's where it begins. Like for Zed's Dead, they would do these crazy things where they would like take these female vocals and put them on this like real like dubstep future based beat, and just the way that expressed itself on its own. I don't know. It's just the fact that people can create so much expression. And to see a crowd react the way they do when there's no words sometimes, too, just blew my mind.
Just through noise.
And for coming from band, that was like a really big thing, because it always felt like band didn't get all the attention it deserved unless you were going to someplace super official like DCI.
Yeah. So it started with, you seeing electronic music and you want to figure out, okay, how are they doing that up there? When did you and you always kind of have a love for hip hop and R&B, like you were saying.
And keep in mind, I missed a very important part of me coming up was my dad had briefly got me into DJing.
Okay.
When I was like 12 or 13 before we moved here.
Okay.
And so I even DJ'd like elementary school dance when I was like 13.
Okay, sweet.
At elementary school.
Yeah.
And
so when did you start to sit down and like learn how to mix? Because like I said, the mixes are clean.
Yeah.
Which is something that
I appreciate that.
A lot of people, there's a lot of very talented musicians out there, and like a lot of people love the creative part. But then where they run into a problem is when all of a sudden you got to start mixing, increasing volumes, making stuff full and big but not distorted, and maintaining those dynamics. You don't want your piano, because you might start off, you go and your waveform's this big and you need it that big, and then all of a sudden you listen, you're like, oh my gosh, that piano's harsh. So how do you keep it soft and smooth and well structured, but essentially loud enough for it to bump, which is like the holy grail of like, how do I do that?
Right. And you're asking me how I got into that, right?
Yeah. So how did you? Yeah.
So basically, my curiosity with Ableton and just wanting to know how to make music led me to accidentally start learning how to mix on my own, because it was just like I was typing stuff into Google just like obsessively, like, okay, how do I get this sound from this song? How do I get my bass to do this that happened in this song? You know, everything from making a bass like glide a certain way, like with sidechain ducking, or like needing my reverb to be expressed a certain way, or like delays, like if I want to make a slap delay. Just getting all this different energy, like how are people making this happen? And so Google, I mean, I'd be persistent. If the first search didn't work, retype it in a whole different way, keep retyping it until I find something in Reddit or gear, you know, that one channel.
Yep, in the YouTube, everything else, man. Yeah, just last night I watched like I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch some EQing stuff on Ableton, and this guy was like, oh yeah, you can select all these different EQ styles with on the EQ8, you know, and it's like this one right here, you can make it bigger so that it takes out all those frequencies in that spot, or you can slim it way down. And like I was like, oh my gosh, and I went back.
You know, another tip on EQ8.
Sure.
Right click on the top part of EQ8.
Oh yeah.
And turn on oversampling.
Okay.
That'll change the whole processing algorithm of the EQ.
Okay.
To where it's like more fine tuned.
Nice. Yeah, and so like there's just so much to be known. There's so much stuff, and there's a lot, like, you know, I think over my years I have like a certain workflow, but I've never had like, I'm always like, oh, especially when I'm sampling like old school funk and stuff, because I never know when I get to that final portion of boosting the sound, like how is the track that I'm sampling going to react to these new EQs and compressors and limiters and stuff that I have to put on it in order to get it big to where it needs to be.
Right.
So that like I said, in this track, you know, the bass and everything, it's very punchy, it's smooth, it's clean, it sounds very high quality when you listen to it.
Right.
You know?
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's how
I could honestly pull it up while we're talking, just so I can kind of like express, you know, what I did a little bit more. But
just leave the track there.
Just leave there?
I'm too nervous that you're going to like go and open something else and all of a sudden that's going to be gone. Like, I just feel like, oh man, like should we mess with that? No, let's just leave it.
That would have been a good idea next time.
Next time. Yeah, and we'll that way we could actually maybe have like a camera on it so you could show like what you're actually doing, so that people can be like, oh, that's what he does. You know, because what do you use to record your stuff?
So to record my stuff, you mean like
basically, what do you use to make music?
Okay, yeah. So I got the push actually early on.
Okay.
And so very quickly I realized like piano. Here's the thing about piano. Like my whole life, piano always felt old to me. It just felt like not very interesting or appealing for me to use. And I got
yeah, dude, you can cover the whole thing.
I have
man.
hands built for like 3 octaves, 4 octaves of piano, and it's like
ET phone home.
It's ridiculous because like they're not being used.
I know. I'm all mitts, dude. Look at this. This is embarrassing,
bro.
I can't stand next to you. I'm never going glove shopping with you.
And that was always, dude. It was always frustrating for me. Even guitar, it's like I could be all over that fret, but you know those things just weren't appealing to me. And then so when I started seeing these people go crazy with these drum machines, I was like, I need to figure out what these people are doing. What's interesting is I never went down the path of using session view in Ableton until recently. Like maybe a week ago, I started trying to understand that. But the push, what sold it for me, is one obviously being able to control your devices, but was that chromatic part of it where you can play piano and like I could freestyle on that thing for days.
The scales, yeah, it's awesome.
Swap the scales on the fly and like you know, and so that's what I'm making. All the pads you hear, all the melodies from like in this song. There's like a vocal melody on top of that guitar that I played out. And so.
Nice, you know? Man. Yeah. So how often do you sample keys or stuff like that, or is a lot of it your own original playing?
Mostly always mine, yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. That's what's up.
And so in the beginning, because remember I came from electronic, and you know I'm reading all these forums, and they're like, if you use presets, you're gonna suck. And I was like,
everybody's like, you have to make it from the get go.
And I should have mentioned that the first thing I was really using was Massive. I was creating pads all the time in Massive. Every time I started a new song, every single synth was a Massive pad, stab, pluck, something that I made by hand.
Nice.
And
very cool.
That's just how it was. Now I'm more preset heavy because it's like I could start with the preset, then mess with it. You know, it's just faster process. But
yeah, I remember. For me, it was just like, man, like I'm not trying to go out and like cut down the tree and like, you know, and then go. I'm not trying to make a paintbrush from scratch. You know, so if I got to go and use a preset synth wave, you know, it's like, okay, I'm gonna just use it. Like,
And
you know,
what's
nobody gets
crazy is,
mad at me for going and buying the guitar. I don't go and like, harvest the wood and
yeah.
make the strings out of copper. Nobody gets mad at
And for
that.
me, it was like an ego thing I had to put aside at first because I was like,
I think that's how it was for everybody too.
I was like,
though.
what? Like you use presets?
But
Like,
that's what separated
crazy.
yourself in EDM was
Yeah.
being able to make those sounds. It was being a sound design.
Yeah, because especially in EDM, it's like when all these people are making their songs sing with only instruments, and a lot of people are using presets. It's like you have 20 songs with the same preset, and then it's like,
and then you have
you know,
stuff like
you're
you
not
said with
standing out,
Zed's Dead.
which is
That
the
was a
point.
sound, those like the bass waves that they had almost.
Dude, and LFOs.
Yeah,
That was a big part of me studying Zed's Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was LFOs because, I mean, that created
gating
an obsession
and
for
side
me.
chaining.
Like whether it was like panning LFOs or just like basic modulation in mono,
First time I heard about side chaining was when I was trying to figure out how EDM made that pump. You know how they made da da and like made it go underneath the kick, and it was just like it's called sidechain compression. It was the easiest thing. It was like good. And I was just like, oh, like changed. I was like, oh, I can do it. And I spent the next 2 hours just like playing the synth,
dude.
just letting the kick pump behind it.
That's
Just
a
like, oh, I could do it.
moment.
Maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do it.
I think one thing what's crazy is like I didn't really, when I started making music, obviously I was trying to be like a electronic like DJ or whatever, right? It started with being electronic, and then I was like, okay, well, I think I have to come back to DJing because all these people DJ too.
Yeah.
And so next thing you know, I'm hitting my dad up like, I think I'm getting back into this, and this is like 7 years later after I quit when I was like 13.
Yeah.
But I'm like giving it another shot, and so that was interesting. And I actually rolled with like a little electronic group for a while under Izzy DePlaza, and he was running this thing called Cat Life, and so we were like trying to make these little events, fly artists out and all that. And
Nice.
putting ourselves on, putting other people on with those shows, and then the transition started happening to where I was like, okay, well, hip hop is my roots. Like I can't even stay away from that. Most of the stuff I make is hip hop.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what if I started doing vocals? And so then I was like, okay, I'm gonna start doing vocals as well. And then around the same time, I was like, okay, well, what am I doing with school? And so there's just so many questions in there. Right?
Yeah.
And so business school wasn't working out, so I switched to Collin College, from UNT to Collin College, to do audio engineering.
Nice.
And so that ended up being a very clutch decision because it just it changed the whole feeling of school. You go from doing something because you feel like you have to doing something that you like almost want to race to every day because it's like there's people there that know what they're talking about, that you can communicate with. Your teachers sometimes are very inspiring. It's hit or miss, of course.
For sure.
Definitely one of my first teacher ever, Chris Lund, actually became my mentor because I started interning with him.
Okay.
And he is and still is a breakbeats garage DJ.
Nice.
Based out of Dallas. He works at Rocket Lab Studios.
Okay. Very cool.
And so shout out to that guy because that internship like changed everything about my mixing because this man he's old school with it. He'll like take his mixer and it's just a classic fader mixer. Plugs that 1/8 inch into his computer and he's ready to go. There is no audio interface or anything. He's using like mostly stock plugins, and he's like racking up his plays and he's going on tour constantly.
Nice. That's awesome.
And so it just shows that you can, I don't know, you can make what I needed to understand there in an age where marketing makes us feel like we need all this gear and all these different things, is that you can have the very minimum and like still support yourself with a career, because that's all he does. He tours, he sells his music, he's an audio engineer. He teaches at Collins sometimes, but not very often, and that's it. That's like the dream for a lot of us, is just do music.
Yeah. What do you think is one of the what's one of the most important mixing tips that you could give to somebody?
As crazy as it sounds, there's always that classic trust your ears. You know what I mean? But also, I think a recent one that I've discovered is that whenever you're taking advice from somebody, make sure to reference their discography and understand that some advice is biased, because most people are picking up advice based on the genres that they need to perform well in, or that they want to perform well in. Some tips don't work as well in other genres. Yeah. And so if you keep their discography in mind, you're going to be like, okay, this is bullshit. You're gonna say, okay, this is not, this is not something I want, So that's something I've been very actively doing, is like I've been able to see, how do I get this link to people, by the way?
Oh, I'll show you how.
Okay, cool. Because people are like asking me.
Okay.
My family's asking me. But where was I at?
Okay, you were talking about kind of like basically basically being genuine in the sounds and what you're creating. You
Right.
know?
And so you just gotta really trust your instinct and really get what you need and nothing else. Like if you feel like if you use a plugin
Mm-hmm.
and this person's saying it's an amazing plugin and you put it on the sound and it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
And you're working with it for 30 minutes, you're not getting what you want out of it. Put it down, uninstall it, whatever. Try something different. But people sometimes will try to force it to work, and then next thing you know, they've made themselves believe this is such a necessary thing when it's like it's not. And I've been down that road. And I guess another big thing is when
I just sent you the link.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, people saw me sending you the link.
Okay. I need that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So maintaining that being genuine, making your sound,
Staying true to yourself.
Yeah, staying true to that music, and
trusting your gut. If something's not working, put it down.
So I'm fully maxed.
The same thing doesn't work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly. Well, dude, I mean, the new track is really good. I was really happy when you sent it to me, and I was like, because I realized I didn't have your phone number in my phone. I was like, well, who's this? I clicked on it. I was like, oh, it's Zay. All right, word.
I realized I didn't text you yet.
Yeah, and so, I went and I listened to it, and, kind of like you said, is that when you send me a song, I listen to it differently than I listen to other people's music, because I know that you are approaching a song in a more of an engineer aspect, like so when I listen to a song like from Sanford, for instance, like Sanford's going to send me something that's going to sound sonically good. It's just who he is. But I'm listening kind of more for the subtle nuances that Sanford will add to his beats. For Lofty, like he's always got a tight synth or a good groove going on. So I listen to like music differently. When I listen to stuff from you, I listen to it very specifically for the engineering aspects of like, okay, wow, these the lyrics come through the mix. Everything's well balanced throughout the mix.
Appreciate that.
So what I want to go ahead though is get into the live performance that we got planned tonight, man.
We do that.
And so which track we're gonna be doing your new track. And once again, y'all can find the homie on Spotify under Zay La Vie, ZAYLAVIE. The track that he's going to be playing is called I'm No Soldier. So y'all make sure to tune in right now. If you like what you hear, make sure you guys reshare it. Love for the homies. Love for everybody out there. And I did send you that link, by the way. So if you wanted to make sure your family has it, go right ahead, man, And, yeah, man. So once again, you guys can also find him on Instagram. You can find him on Facebook. And, hey, if you need a DJ for the holidays, why not hit up Zay La Vie?
For sure.
Yeah.
Hit me up for that.
Yeah, exactly.
I am a DJ. Also hit up my dad for that.
Nice.
He's been a DJ for way longer than I have been.
The family promo. I like it.
He's finally back out here in Texas, and he's trying to get started with all that again.
Sounds good, man.
So,
all right, you ready to bump?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it, man. So once again, y'all, we've got the homie Zay La Vie right here with the track I Am No Soldier on DentonRadio.com. Let's bump it.
Check. Hey. I'm no soldier. I have no story that I can say. No battle scars as deep as yours. I guess I can't relate. It happened so long ago. Why won't it? Oh wait, hold up.
Get it.
Here, wait. Let me retry that. Hang on.
Every once in a while, man. I've been there.
I'm no soldier. I'm no soldier. I'm no soldier. I'm no soldier. I have no story that I can say. No battle scars as deep as yours. I guess I can't relate. It happened so long ago. Why won't it fade? My history's so old, you wouldn't believe it if I said it still hurt. It gets worse. Let it burn. Yeah, that's my curse. I'm no major. I wish to be a general, but getting far away today is in my future. Escaping all the pain today, why does it stay? This is like a rainy day that never went away. It's so sunny, how could I be so sad? Tripping when I'm mad, got the homies feeling flat. We haven't talked a lot, but you know I never stab. What if we all make it and we live from different bags? You hear this percussion, I've been popping with the claps. What have I been doing? Well, I'm never chasing tags. Rich and just love you, I'd rather spend it on my track. Boy, I want the racks so I can spend them on my trap. Please don't let me die, no cap. My team ain't make it yet, take me back. I've been on the low making bags. You can catch me on the fader making racks.
See, man, I'm telling you, it even sounds good in here. So now I want to talk about the Apollo, this processor right now, because
Yeah.
even like the way that your lyrics come through, I hear like a certain like it kind of like it really picks it up nicely.
Okay, so the air, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you throw a gate on a song,
Okay.
what's special about that is it adds silence in spaces to where when that noise does come back in, it's almost like a special effect.
Okay.
You know, so that
Yeah.
that air that we're hearing is literally just the air of the room, everything
Nice.
around us. But because that silence happens, when it comes back in, it's like a
Okay.
lift.
Nice,
You
man.
know?
And I think I just might have interrupted you in the song.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
But I had to add, you know.
It's cool. We got to talk on the beat, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That was nice, man. Here, let me switch out headphones real quick.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Tell you, dude. Like I said, it sounds good here. I like that mic is nice. It just sounds crisp, you know. And something that I always struggled with was, and maybe it's my mic, maybe it's just me, I don't know, but it sounds really nice coming through even live, you know, which is a cool experience. And like I was telling you before you played the track, I said if these headphones, they're not really super made to like take the bass, you know, and boom, but it sounds so nice and crisp, man. You really did a good job on the track,
that,
you
bro.
know.
Bass is like one of the hardest things to nail too.
Mm-hmm. And so was that a guitar or keys in that track? Like,
So the main loop is actually a guitar that a
Okay.
homie played.
oh, nice.
And
Okay.
So, I mean, he's a real one. He actually just sent me a whole new sample pack.
That's great, dude.
He's part of this old group called Basecamp.
Okay.
And
Sweet.
I actually met them when they were on like a tour
Nice.
in Austin, and
That's
they
what's
became
up.
like a cool connect.
Very cool, man. Very
Yeah.
cool. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, I don't get, and see, that's what I mean is I don't get to hear your singing stuff a lot, you know. So when I do, I'm like, oh, dude, this is nice. It's different.
I appreciate
it's
that.
It's refreshing.
And honestly,
so
dude, it's
I'd
good
love
to
hear
have
full.
homies.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a full album one day, man, or even
course,
just an
yeah.
EP, 5 tracks. You know, give me 3 tracks, give me 2, more than 1, man. Come on.
No, I'm trying to do it.
That's what's
Especially
up, man.
come 2020, you know, we got
I
we're all
know.
on that 2020 clear vision.
Big
on the way.
plans. Big chings coming in 2020. Well,
For sure.
my man, thank you so much again for coming on the show tonight.
Appreciate you,
Blast having you on. Once again, folks, we got the homie Zay La Vie. Make sure you go listen to his track "I'm No Soldier" on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere that you can find the fine sounds of music. They will be there, folks. We're gonna go now. We're gonna go, but we have Ellie Bell and the Denton Vibe coming up next. So y'all stick around right here on DentonRadio.com. I'll see you next week. Peace.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. We want to thank our partners and sponsors who made this show possible. And now stick around for a word from all of us here at Discover Denton. Do you love live music? If so, make Denton, Texas your next vacation. Find more information at discoverdenton.com.